For his praise ever in my mouth. In the Lord my soul shall make its boast. For he hears the cry of the poor. The Lord hears the cry of the poor. Blessed be the Lord, for he hears the cry of the poor. Hello everybody, good morning. You're welcome once again to this episode of our sharing. Today is the 13th Sunday in ordinary time, and today as well the church celebrates the feast or the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul. Today we'll be sharing from today's readings as marked out by the church. The first reading is a very long one, so we're just going to kind of a bit like summarize and then go on to the proper sharing of today. The first reading is from the Acts of the Apostles, and the second reading, Acts of the Apostles chapter 12 from verse 1 to verse 11, and the second reading is from the second letter of St. Paul to Timothy, chapter 4 from verse 6 to 8 and from verse 17 to verse 18. And the gospel reading as well is from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 16 from verse 13 to verse 19. Today, just a quick read through of the first reading, because my sharing today is going to be mainly based on the first reading, and then we touch through both the responsorial psalm, the second reading, and then the gospel reading. A reading from the Acts of the Apostles. King Herod started persecuting certain members of the church. He beheaded James, the brother of John, and when he saw that this pleased the Jews, he decided to arrest Peter as well. This was during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and he put Peter in prison, assigning squads of 4 soldiers each to guide him in turns. Herod went to try Peter in public after the end of Passover week. All the time Peter was under guard, the church prayed to God for him unremittingly. On the night before Herod was to try him, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, fastened with double chains, while guards kept watch at the main entrance to the prison. Then suddenly the angel of the Lord stood there, and the cell was filled with light. He tapped Peter on the side and woke him. "Get up," he said. "Hurry." And the chains fell from his hands. The angel then said, "Put on your belt and sandals." After he had done this, the angel next said, "Wrap your cloak round you and follow me." Peter followed him, but had no idea that what the angel did was all happening in reality. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed through 2 guards posts, one after the other, and reached the iron gates leading to the city. This opened of its own accord. They went through it and had walked the whole length of the one street, when suddenly the angel left him. It was only then that Peter came to himself. Now I know it is all through, he said. The Lord really sent his angel, and he has saved me from Herod and from all that the Jewish people were so certain will happen to me. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. For the sake of time, like I said before, we won't be going through the other readings, but during the course of our sharing, we will still touch bit by bit on these other readings. As I was reading through this morning, as I was meditating this morning on this particular passage of this particular portion of the Bible that we've just read now, certain things were going through my mind, putting through what we experience, considering what we experience in our lives today as Christians, as believers, the kind of journey that we go through, the kind of pain, the kind of sufferings in the eyes of men that we go through, that we see, that we pass through during the course of we being Christians. As we heard this morning from the readings, what Peter went through in the hands of Herod because he proclaimed the gospel. Remember, Peter and some other of the apostles were fishermen. Jesus didn't just call them to become followers of him because they were so righteous, because they did better than every other person in terms of what God wanted them to do. No. God does not look at, the actions, the righteousness of ours, and then calls us because of that. No. God looks at the inside of our hearts. He looks at the inside of our hearts and see what our hearts truly, truly desire. When we were back home, there's one movie, drama, a series we used to watch. And during, I think either the beginning or the end, it says, we are nothing but pencils in the hands of the Creator. And that is what we are. No matter how imperfect we are, God picks us. He rewrites us the way He wants us to be while we walk along with Him. Now, looking at the second part of this reading today, about how the angel came and rescued Peter from the prison while he was held bound by Herod. Now, bringing it down to our world today, the way we live. Sometimes when our hearts are so troubled, and then all of a sudden it seems as if God just, suddenly answers our prayers. And we begin to wonder, why? How come? What happened? Probably there is this job, there is this contract, there is this something you have been praying and hoping that God would finally answer you someday. And when you think that all hope is finally lost, and boom, it comes like that, God answers your prayers. Why? Because our time is different from God's time. The way we walk is different from how God works. Sometimes we might think, oh, God is taking so much time. He's taking so much time. Why can't He just answer my prayers and just, get this thing over with? God's time, as they say, is always the best. And sometimes the way God does His things, it seems like it's a dream. There is this song in my language, the Igbo language, and it best describes what happened to Peter that we read this morning. It sings like this. Apologies to those who don't understand Igbo language, but obviously I will try to translate. It sings, Ọ dị m ka na nrọ, ihe ọma Chukwu na-emere m. Onye o mere karịa, biko welie aka ya elu. Ọ dị m ka na nrọ, ihe ọma Chukwu na-emere m. Onye o mere karịa, biko welie aka ya elu. It says, it feels like a dream what the good deeds that the Lord does for me. And if God does the same thing likewise for you, he says, the song sings, raise your hands. And I can gladly say with all assurance that I am one of those. Take for instance, during the beginning of this pandemic, I was praying for God. I was praying to God to answer a particular prayer about, stuff that concern my studies and stuff during deployment. And it seemed as though this was taking so much time. I kept praying and hoping. It seemed as though my mate had already gotten what they prayed for, what they asked for. And I was like, God, is mine going to be different? Though the one I actually prayed for, I didn't get. But I never knew that God had his plans for me, which was a lot different from what I was hoping for. But now I understand the reason why he delayed, or I felt there was a delay when I was asking for what I was asking for then. Because where I am right now, I don't think, because I am so happy, so much happy now, that I don't think I would have been happier if I had gotten the one I prayed for. So that is how our God works. He is an awesome God. That is my favorite. It's a favorite phrase for me. My God is an awesome God. I trust him to the letter. I trust him from the beginning to the end. Yes, sometimes we have the desires of our heart, which is absolutely okay. And then because it kind of like leads us, directs us towards our prayers, how to channel our prayer, because we already know what we want. But then again, if it doesn't come that way, what do? We still keep praying and hope that God would never ever leave us abandoned. Remember what the Acts of the Apostles says from what we read this morning. It said, while Peter was in prison, was held bound, it said the congregation, the people of God, kept God praying for him. Remember, there is nothing prayer cannot do. I, for example, I don't think I'm the much prayer person. But like I said in one of my videos, you don't have to imitate people when you pray. No. The prayer that you pray has to be unique. It has to be Iffy's kind of prayer. And that's the way it suits me. Like I said, I am not the best praying. I don't know how to speak the English now. I don't pray as much as I sing. Singing is, oh God, when I sing, it's kind of, I feel so excited when I sing. I'd rather sing than pray. That doesn't go to say that I don't pray at all, no. But I prefer to sing than pray, because I know how I feel in the inside of me when I sing. And so that's how it's supposed to be. There is nothing stopping you from praying and asking and hoping patiently that prayer, that intention of our hearts, that God listens, he hears. There is power in prayer. There is power in prayer. Above praying, wait upon the Lord, because his time is the best, and he has good plans for us. Only if we would totally trust in him. And don't even think that, oh, I am a sinner. I am a sinner as well. The apostles were not saints before Jesus called them. No, I am a sinner. But God sees, he knows the intentions of my heart. Even as bad as I am, he said, come. He bids me, come. So as he's bidding you today, come. He will make us fishers of men, just like he made Peter and the apostles, even though they did suffer for it, but he will make us fishers of men. And at the end of the day, we will come together to share in that inheritance that he has gone up to prepare for us, just like when he was living during the Pentecost. He promised that he was going up there to his Father to prepare for us a better place than the place where we are here on earth. May the Lord bless his words in our hearts. May he help us to find a better way to praise him, to pray, and above all, trust in him. God bless you.